I guess that's the point I'm trying to bring up is that you have to identify the gaps before you can know what tools to use to actually put in place. Otherwise, you're doing this backwards. You're finding problems for the solution that you already have.
Welcome to the Fiscal Foxhole, the podcast proving you don't need a degree in finance, just some grit, a game plan, and maybe a sense of humor. Your hosts are retired Army veteran Rob Moore and retired Marine veteran Omen. Together, they'll help you dodge financial landmines, call in the air support on your savings, and laugh at the ridiculous money mistakes we've all made. If you can survive mandatory fund days, you can survive personal finance. Welcome to the Foxhole.
Happy birthday, United States of America. Happy 250th. We are celebrating, as you can see, if you're watching our social media clips, we are celebrating in style. Well, at least I am. I went a little full tilt in the patriotic mode for today's episode. Omen, you're participating.
Yeah. I figured this is where you're going to go with things.
Did you notice? Did you notice anything about me today? Anything different?
I don't understand what you're saying.
For our listeners, audio listeners, I'm wearing USA sunglasses, USA glasses, a ridiculous American flag top hat, and a red, white, and blue shirt because I am kind of a nerd about this kind of stuff. I'm a nerd about a lot of things, but July 4th, patriotism. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. And if you've listened to episodes, you know. So now I'm going all in.
Yeah, I've got a cruddy baseball hat on representing the Fred Nats. And of course, I've got my 250th shirt on as well. This one made by my lovely wife, but we have our tradition of having the same 4th of July shirts. We've had the same 4th of July shirts, meaning our family has shared the same 4th of July shirts for, I can't even remember how many years. We've just constantly had the same ones. It's been amazing.
I have a comment for that. Before I do, I forgot to mention, I'm your host. I'm Rob Moore. I forgot to mention who we are. I'm Rob Moore. I'm your host for today. And
people know who you are, Rob.
Well, they don't know that the sitting across the foxhole from me is the Yankee Doodle dandy himself, Omen. Good to see you again. I promise you, I'm going to take all this off in momentarily. I have to do the bit for a minute, but I'm going to be much more presentable or professional, hopefully, for the remainder of the episode.
I don't believe you.
But, well, I won't be professional, but at least I'll have a more appropriate hat on. How about that?
There you go.
I did in your mind when you said, yeah, we use the same shirt. I pictured.
I set you up a softball there.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, so now I picture the rest of your family wandering around today shirtless because they don't have, they're like, Omen needs the shirt for the podcast.
Just for the podcast. Yeah,
that's right. Well, you're looking good. I'll match your spirit here in a second once I get rid of the absurdity. This is just for the gram, man. This is just for the social media account. Anyway, as we approach the 250th, that's what this is all about. I'm excited for July 4th. I always am. I'm especially excited for this one. We do have some things planned. What do you guys have planned for the 4th?
Well, probably no shock to you or the listeners. I'm going for a run. I'm actually going to take a trip to Luray Caverns it's going to be an early morning trip. I got to be up there to start at 7 o'clock in the morning for a run. And then plan on doing some tubing for about 3 or 4 hours, then come home. I don't think that we're going to have to protect the dog from fireworks going off or anything else like that. That used to be a thing. The dog would go and run and hide and shiver all night long, and we never got any sleep. But I don't think that we're going to have to do that anymore, mainly because he's hard of hearing.
That sounds like fun. I love the run too, because that puts you in a good mood no matter what for the rest of the day. So you get to really enjoy the float. Yeah, that's cool. Good idea. I don't know if I told you, I mentioned last July 4th, I booked 2 hotel rooms downtown DC for this 3rd and 4th this year. I got on it right away. Yeah. So I booked 2 rooms because I have a large family, but now my wife's sister, husband, their children are coming. So we're just going to cram in those 2. And we got plans to go to the Capitol 4th. They're doing a country music festival on the wharf on the 4th. So we're going to go to that too. We bought tickets to that. So we'll be partying for a couple of days downtown. I'm excited. It does beg the question though, what's going to go on with who's manning the foxhole? Once again,
Once
you were
again,
you were in North Carolina last week. I was in Pittsburgh, and now
we're struggling with
Foxhole
this
is
right
going to be. We are.
we need to hire
But,
somebody to man the foxhole.
That's right. We do. We need help. We're clearly not dedicated as we should be. But for today, we are full of Roman candles. We've got the grill going. There is no operational security happening in this foxhole today. We're going to light it up and have a lot of fun. Today, we wanted to have an episode based on the 250th, based on July 4th, and we kicked around a lot of ideas, but we eventually returned back to the theme of, well, we still want to help folks. We still want to give information that's helpful financially to military members and veterans. Unlike our Christmas movie episode,
I'm not sure anybody pulled it with. Judging from the amount of listens, I don't think anybody got any information from that.
No, they didn't. That was all just fun. Today, we're going to mix it up. We're going to have fun, but we're also going to talk about something that's useful to military personnel. And just to tease that, we're going to be talking about an article that we found that listed the top 5 states to retire in as a military veteran. We're going to go over those details. We're going to look at what the article says, and then I think we'll have some fun talking about whether or not we agree with it.
Yeah, Rob, I'm really excited about this topic because it truly is one of the things that makes America great, right? Like our ability to be able to pick and choose what state we can go and retire in is uniquely America, right? Like
Amen.
you can do that in other countries, but it requires you to get a passport and a visa to go do that. Whereas here, like we can just kind of move around the way that we want to move around. So I really love the fact that we're celebrating this on our 250th anniversary.
Amen. That is uniquely American, which I love because we have the opportunity, some states try things a little bit differently and they succeed or fail. And we see the effects of different types of economies in local governments. And we can absorb that loss. We can absorb certain amounts of failure because other states are doing it a different way that might be better. And that's how we learn and grow. So great opener. That's something that's uniquely American that I think we both appreciate. But we have that all to get to later. We'll talk about that. We also have some fun financial facts about the United States history. But before that, we do have to get into this week in U.S. military history. Omen, it will be no shock to you that today's date in history is Independence Day itself. I'm going to go ahead and read this down, report. Not a lot to reflect here. I think everyone knows about all of this, but it's worth reflecting on the nation's 250th. The tension between the colonies and Britain had been building for over a decade, driven by taxation without representation, trade restrictions, and a growing sense among colonists that London was governing people it had no intention of listening to. When fighting broke out at Lexington and Concord in April of 1775, it was less a surprise than a pressure valve giving way. George Washington took command of the Continental Army on July 3rd of that year, inheriting a force that was underfunded, undertrained, and already in the field. Through the winter and spring of 1776, the case for full independence gained momentum. Thomas Paine's pamphlet, Common Sense, published in January of that year, pushed the argument into plain language that ordinary people could read and act on. By June, Richard Henry Lee had formally proposed independence before the Second Continental Congress, and a committee made of Jefferson, Adams, Franklin, Sherman, and Livingston was appointed to draft the document. Jefferson wrote most of it. Congress debated and revised the draft through the first days of July, and on July 2nd, they voted to sever ties with Britain. And on July 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was formally adopted. Washington ordered it read aloud to his troops in New York 5 days later. 250 years later, that thread runs straight through every veteran listening to this show. Happy birthday, America. What a great rundown. I appreciate you putting that together because I love the little color, the little bits and pieces that maybe perhaps we didn't know about surrounding this thing that is ubiquitous and well known.
Yeah. Happy birthday, America.
Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and remove this ridiculous clown USA hat and don a more appropriate United States one. I'm going with the 50 stars today. I got a nice 50 stars hat that I like, and I do need to take these glasses off and put on something I can actually read with. Yeah. All right, moving on from that reverent tribute to our nation's founding, we do need to get into today's headline, which I think we're both excited to get into. Today's headline is not about United States independence. It's the small part of the show that isn't, but it is worth talking about. We saw this last week and we kicked it back and forth like, yeah, we need to get into this and talk about it. The title of the article is, I used to, in parentheses, hate annuities. Then I looked at the math. And it was written by Mike Decker at Kiplinger. And I'm just going to read a couple of quotes from the article. I think it's important to get a sense of where he's coming from before we rip him apart. But point number one, he says, when I entered the financial planning industry over a decade ago, the 10-year treasury was hovering around 2%. That's one of the benchmarks that heavily influences what insurance companies can offer in lifetime income payouts. And at 2%, the payouts were uninspiring. And he continues, today, the 10-year treasury sits around 4.5%, which is more than double what it was a decade ago. He argues that the underlying rates that support lifetime income payouts have changed what annuities can offer. He's not wrong. I mean, yeah, it is based on those interest rates. And I think he's using that coming from a place that, I don't mean to imply he's being disingenuous here, but he's coming from a place that is factually accurate. It is based on interest rates because that's what insurance companies invest in themselves. When you're paying them premiums, they're investing in those safe interest rates, like income products like bonds and mortgage notes and things like that. So it does affect the insurance company's abilities to make those guaranteed payouts that annuities provide. Before we dive too much deeper into those details, Omen, can you briefly just talk about what an annuity is first, and then we can have some fun kicking it back and forth?
Yeah, for sure. So an annuity, there are several different forms of annuity. You can buy an annuity today with a lump sum of money that will pay you a certain amount of money for the rest of your life or for a certain period. There's annuities where you can pay a certain amount of money today that will start later on in your life and then start to pay you and maybe a survivor for the rest of their lives. But ultimately, an annuity is there as an insurance product to guarantee you against the risk of running out of money. That's ultimately what an annuity does, is that it's going to provide you some kind of guaranteed payment for a certain amount of time so that you can at least count on a certain income stream to last the rest of your life.
From the highest view that we could have about annuities, let me just ask you this. I know you're going to nail it. Is an annuity an investment, or is it a financial product?
Yeah, it's a product, hands down. Yeah. And that's the thing that I always like to bring up with people about insurance. Insurance and investments are two different things. The insurance may use some form of investment in a sub-account somewhere that would help them to raise more money within that product itself. But oftentimes, well, not oftentimes, every time, the insurance company is going to make more money off of that product from you than you would if you were to just simply invest it in the market. Potentially, right? Market has risk. What you are paying an insurance company to do is to take that risk from you. And there is a cost at doing so. There's a fee for this product.
Yeah, let's be frank up front. If you're buying an annuity and you look at it from a cost perspective, i.e. the value of what I'm putting in versus the value of what I get out of it, almost every single time, it's a loss. You'd be better off.
Yeah, from a math perspective, yes.
Yeah. I think that's important to note because oftentimes, well, you nailed it. It's a product, but oftentimes these are sold as investments, or it's kind of, I guess, colored that way by the people that sell them. They're sold as like, this is a really wise investment, or they kind of sell it as something that like you're going to put all this money in and then you are guaranteed this income coming out. They're not wrong. That's what it is. But I think the disingenuous angle, once again, comes from the idea that this is also a sound financial decision. So in other words, somebody that might not need that guaranteed income, that might have financial stability that doesn't need it, they're still going to be sold this product in a way that maybe shields the poor financial decision that it is. And it almost turns around like it's a benefit to the consumer. It's not. Yeah, financially speaking, frankly, it is not a benefit. However, it does have its place.
So I like to look at annuities, life insurance as a whole, whether it's term, whole life, like it really doesn't matter. All of these products are simply tools that we have at our disposal. The trick is, and this is where I've seen it go off the rails more often than not, is whether or not the person selling the product is actually doing an analysis of whether or not the person who's about to sign for that product needs the thing, needs the product. It's like we've said before, every problem is going to look like a nail when the only tool that you have at your disposal is a hammer. We have to look at the total amount of somebody's life, financial life, before we start using products to fit the gaps. And I guess that's the point I'm trying to bring up, is that you have to identify the gaps before you can know what tools to use to actually put in place. Otherwise, you're doing this backwards. You're finding problems for the solution that you already have.
I'm reminded of an insurance commercial that's been airing. Well, last year I haven't seen it as much anymore. It's for a financial services team. Well, it's insurance sales. That's what it is. And they show a client coming in and they're like, I'm concerned about retirement income and I want to be covered for this and this, my kid's college. And they kind of list out all these different things. And quite literally, the salesperson like brings out all these different folders. That's like life insurance, annuities. Every single thing is an insurance solution. You know, they come in and they have this like very varied basket of goals that you and I handle much differently. And to an insurance salesman, they're like, okay, here's my opportunity to sell this. It's my opportunity to sell this, sell this, sell this. It doesn't mean that all of them are bad. That's not what we're saying. But I would argue that from an annuity standpoint, especially for military, like if you're retiring, you're going to get that standard stream of income from pensions. If you've been investing in the TSP, you can do smart withdrawal strategies. There's potential VA disability and then Social Security on the horizon. My goodness, like you might have multiple streams of steady income, minus maybe your TSP distributions, you know, that's the withdrawal. But like if you might have 3 steady streams of income, and then on top of that, feel like or be sold an annuity, I'm going to stop short because we have to disclaim everything here and say it's always a bad idea, but it sure is hard to imagine when it is a good idea, aside from the person buying it. Like if someone's like, I have to have guaranteed income. I don't care what it does to me financially. I don't care, not what it does to me financially, but they're like, I don't care what it costs. Let me put it that way. Like, if I don't care what it costs. I have to have steady income. That's all I care about. Okay. But you have to come to it from that angle.
If we take your example just a little bit further to understand that you've got potentially multiple streams. Now, we could be talking to people right now that are not retired. Or maybe
Right.
they're going to be veterans and they don't have a pension available to them. All they have is their TSP with a match somewhere. This product actually might be something worth considering. I mean, you might still have a disability rating and I'm sure you'll have some kind of Social Security. I don't know to what extent, but you'll have some kind of Social Security when you get there. So you'll have some forms of guaranteed income streams. But this comes down to your risk. What is your risk tolerance and your ability to kind of think through the rest of your life and what expenses you have and what income you have and how much risk are you willing to take to invest what you have in the market and get said return potentially on that or buy an annuity and have this guaranteed stream of income. When people think about a monthly check that they get in the mail or electronically, however you get your monthly checks, but you know, it's easy. It's the easy button. And the value proposition when presented to people in that way is, oh, you mean I'm just going to get a check for $1,000 for the rest of my life? Okay, I'll do that. It's difficult when presented that way then to see the other side. Oh, that's going to cost me another $1,000 a month?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like people don't talk through that side of it. But we need to talk through both sides to make sure that the level of risk you're taking, you're comfortable with. Because I like to point out that there's no life where you're taking no risk. And even by buying an annuity, you are taking some risk. Number one, that insurance company is going to still be around in 20 years when your annuity is said that they'll continue to pay you out. That's what a risk. Inflation risk, that's another one that you're probably not going to find a whole lot with in annuities. You might have an inflation rider, but that's going to increase the price. So it might not actually achieve the thing that you want it to achieve. So it's just super important to not speak specifically to, like I will speak to an annuities salesperson when I have the information at my disposal about what I need an annuity to do. I want to know the costs. I want to know how long it's supposed to last. Is there a survivor benefit? Everything about this annuity. But I'm not speaking to an annuity salesperson in the lead up of, I don't even know how much money I need to get me to the end of my lifetime. Like I'm going to know that bigger picture before I speak to somebody selling an insurance product.
I think we're being very fair and almost too much so towards annuity salespeople at this point. And I have stronger feelings about it, and I kind of want to lean more into that. Let's start with the way you're approaching this. You're approaching it from the point of like, what do we actually need and what's important to us? And what does our situation look like from a comprehensive standpoint? Like everything included, pension, disability, inheritance and investments and everything, and putting a comprehensive picture together and identifying maybe an acute need or a pain point where they're like, I just can't accept the risk of filling the last 20% of my income need from the investments I've done. However, that's the fertile ground where insurance salesmen lurk and they grow, because that fear is usually, well, I'm going to say typically is baseless, because when you and I do it and we show them like, hey, this is a historical return of the S&P 500. This is a historical return of the global stock market. This is the historical return of the investments that you currently own. And you've got a lifetime, i.e. the remainder, like 50 to 40 years to capture returns. Go ahead. You have something?
And that assumes that you're going to leave all of your investments in 100% equities, right?
Yeah.
That's not what we do.
No.
We have buckets of money that runs the gamut from a conservative, balanced nature all the way to 100% equities. We have a whole sliding scale.
So if you have that, and whatever balance of that, income to equity ratio that you decide is appropriate, that we can model returns with various degrees of reliability, and we can model it out 1,000 times and see what it's like. Once you do that and you see like, hey, you could probably withdraw 4% of this corpus of the investment for the remainder of your life and it will still grow. Like, 95%, it'll probably still grow. Like, and if it doesn't, you're still going to survive just fine. And that 4% return on the investment is going to be more than this insurance company is going to pay you for an annuity, most likely. So I think annuities maybe have a place, but I think it's very narrow. And I think it's sold way too much to way too many people that don't need it. And if people understood the cost that they're giving up for that protection of standard income versus what they could have gotten versus investing that difference, investing those premiums, and just managing it even reliably or modestly efficiently, where it is going to get you there. I tell you what, I've just seen too many prospects come in with very ugly annuity products. It just, I shake my head. I'm not saying it's a terrible idea all the time, but man, if it ain't 95, it's 96% of the time. You know what I mean? It's just not a good product.
If you are in our line of work, having retired from the military, retired from federal service, and you have a pension, then an annuity is likely not a good fit for you. I would just, as we kind of round out this article here, before you sign yourself up for an annuity, make sure you know what risk you're mitigating. Like, know what the problem is before you sign up for an annuity. If somebody tries to approach you and sell you an annuity and they know nothing about you, then walk away or grab the information. Grab the information and then walk away so you can do your research. But don't let a salesperson talk you into a product that you don't need because they just made up a problem in front of you that you had no idea you even had. And you might not actually have at all, because getting out of an annuity is an expensive proposition.
I like the way you summed it up. I do want to sprinkle in one more thing. Just always be wary of anybody that comes up and tries to sell something to you. Because when's the last time someone tried? First, yeah.
First.
Well, anybody sells anything. Because when was the last time, Omen, someone came up to you and tried to sell you a low-cost index fund?
Oh, I just bought a vacuum. Somebody just rang my doorbell. I just bought a vacuum cleaner.
Right. I mean, never, right? No one ever tries to sell it. If it's a good idea, typically speaking, consumers will wisely run to these things, and they don't have to be sold directly to if they're a good value to the consumer. Things like this that are, we're dancing around the disclaimer, right? We're trying to be careful, but things like this that tend to be a bad idea, they have to be sold. They have to be packaged. They have to be kind of molded into something that's digestible to the consumer. Well, I think we sufficiently danced around that careful enough.
Well, actually, Our friend Lacey Langford on the Milmo show quite literally just had an episode 393. I'd recommend, if you're interested in annuities, Tracy Lounsbury explained annuities in such a smart way, and he spent a lot more time on this. I'd highly recommend just flip over to that other episode and have a check out of that education material there, just to get some information, right? Like, again, we're not telling you to do it or not to do it, but make sure that it's right for you. And most of the time, pensions, Social Security, disability ratings, it doesn't really work out.
That's a great plug for our friend Lacey over at Milmo Show. So I'll drop that in the show notes if you're interested. Again, that's Milmo Show episode 393, titled Annuities Explained Without the Sales Pitch. With all that fun behind us, it's time to jump into the meat of the episode. As I've teased earlier, today we're talking about the 5 states that are worth living in as a retiree, as outlined by WalletHub. John S. Kiernan wrote an article for WalletHub, the 2026 list of top 5 military retirement states. This is great fodder because rather than just you and me listing our top 5 states, we're able to take this, and I think it's going to provide a lot more opportunity for us to discuss some of the points, because I think we're both a little suspicious of this list and have our own thoughts.
It's interesting because it came from WalletHub, right? Like, I mean, we reference WalletHub quite regularly with good information. And then I saw this list. I was like, this doesn't quite look right. Like, where did you come up with this? So I'm excited to go down this top 5.
Okay. Without spoiling too much of it, you'll see when we get into it. But also, because we have this list of 5 and just a little bit to talk about each, I did want to keep with the theme of the show and add our fun facts back in. I've got a number of fun facts about the financial history of the United States, in keeping with the theme of America's 250th. So before we jump into the number 5 state to retire in as a military retiree, I'm going to go ahead and hit fun fact number 1. Fun fact number 1 about the U.S. financial history is titled, "The U.S. invented the modern decimal currency system." In 1785, the United States became the first nation to officially adopt a decimal-based monetary system. Instead of using complicated systems like pounds, shillings, and pence, America could simply divide a dollar into 100 cents. This seems normal today, but at the time it was revolutionary. The idea reflected the founders' desire to create a system that was simpler, more rational, and easier for ordinary citizens and businesses to use.
Oh, sorry. I just woke up. And now more costly to use as we get rid of the penny and then the nickel and everything else. So.
Without that, I wouldn't have a jar full of pennies sitting upstairs, completely useless. It's about to go obsolete.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks for that.
You better run to the coin machine and wrap those things up.
Well, okay. With that behind us, it's time to jump in. So this is number 5. The number 5 state on our list for military retirees, coming in at number 5, our home Commonwealth of Virginia.
That's right.
There's a few details here, arguments that provided in the WalletHub article. I'm just going to hit those real quick, and I know you have thoughts on them. Number 1, full military pension exemption. Caveat to that. Strong VA access, massive defense contractor job market for second careers. You know, we talk about military people getting out of the military and want to jump to another career. A lot of folks go straight into the thing that they were trained in the military for, and it's lucrative here in Virginia. The pension exemption, it says full military pension exemption. It's up to 40 grand. That satisfies most, maybe not most, but a lot of military pensions are around that 38 to 54,000, as you start to get out. So a lot of folks will get a lot of benefit. It's still a great exemption, 40,000 state tax free. And that's your pension. That's not your VA disability. It's your pension. There is a note here that proximity to DC's double-edged sword, a lot of opportunity, but also cost of living's awful here in Virginia. I mean,
it is pretty terrible.
It's rough. Property taxes are very high. Property values are very high. Cost of living is insane. Did also mention the strong military community density, very much so, especially Hampton Roads and here in Northern Virginia. Omen, that kind of begs the question: is Virginia a good retirement state, or is it just the place that's easy to stay for a lot of military retirees as they come into the Pentagon, as they, all these different bases here, Hampton Roads, and they just end up like, hey, this is a good place because these are all my people and I know I know all these people and I know the system here will support me.
Yeah. You know, there are two reasons why somebody would retire to a certain location, generally speaking. They're either going to go someplace to be with family or they're going to go someplace to be with a job. And I think Virginia falls into that second category, is that the opportunities for work here, it's exemplary. You don't have to go far. Like there's so many government contracts around this immediate area. You cannot throw a cat without hitting one. And so there's not only that aspect of it, but there's also the aspect of kind of culturally, everywhere you go, you are going to run into a military person. I go to church. Half of our church is military, whether veterans or still in. You go to the store, you go to a restaurant, there's military discounts for you everywhere you go. Like, this whole state is really focused on the fact that there's a large population of military and government entities here.
Yeah, amen. If you're looking for employment community, Virginia is fantastic. It's really great. A lot of people in my neighborhood, same thing, same experience you just talked about. I see and know military people all over the place around here. One more note that wasn't included in the article that I just wanted to note, to Virginia's benefit and credit, there are substantial coordinating benefits along with different levels of VA disability.
Yes.
Okay, so there are different kinds. Now we're talking more about like VA ratings of like 90% or 100%, but yep. I won't give it into that, but potential complete exemption for property taxes, which if you're in Northern Virginia or in a high, real estate cost area, those property taxes can be substantial. So you get a waiver for that. And then there's also really unique education benefits for folks that are rated at certain amounts specific to Virginia. I know every state has some, but Virginia has some that are very exceptional.
Yeah, I wouldn't say every state has some, mainly because I have done some research on a few states where people are getting ready to retire and they don't have any. So yeah, Virginia is pretty unique in that. And I will add, and this is something for our listeners as they consider where they might want to retire, if they are retiring someplace for specific benefits, to just be on the lookout for how those benefits might change over time. I know there's a lot of consternation about education benefits here in Virginia and how expensive they are, because what happens when you suddenly provide education at low or no cost to disabled veterans? Mm-hmm. You get a lot of disabled veterans move into the country or move into the county. So now all of a sudden the state is like, like we've got a problem here. How can we fix this? And so I fully expect in Virginia that there's going to be some changes to how they provide, or maybe what the cutoff line is for education benefits to dependents of certain disability ratings. Same thing with property taxes. My money. So quick story here. My running group, I was gone in some form or fashion, whether travel, sick, whatever, for about 5 or 6 weeks or so. And most of the people that I run with are not military. Makes it a really fun group. That first week that I showed back up again, I had just cracked my door, got out of the door, and one of them turned around to me and said, "So what's going on? Why in the world does the state think it's appropriate to completely waive property taxes? It's costing me a fortune." And now, he's just going off. And that's one person. I think the sentiment is actually starting to catch on a little bit. And I actually maybe expect some changes to that in the future. Again, you offer benefits like that in a state somewhere, and now suddenly it's of your benefit to move there. And then suddenly when nobody's paying property taxes, the state has to get money somehow. So I expect changes.
That's a good point. Yeah, always be current with the benefits of the state that you intend to move to. But also, too, one interesting thing here, I don't get too caught up in Virginia because we live here, but the other interesting thing is you do need to weigh this with your decision to retire. And it's hard because you don't know what rating you're going to get. You can have a good idea. But let's say you've got the post 9/11 GI Bill you're going to give to one kid, but you got another one that's getting ready to go to college. If you stayed in the military, you're not going to have that VA rating, of course. And so therefore, you might not have the educational benefit. If you thread the needle just so, or you get that rating, you get out and retire, you might be better off in some ways of like getting a rating and then getting the educational benefit for your dependents. It's a tough thing to navigate. We always lean back more towards values and goals. And like what's most important, stick to that. And then if the benefits end up happening, then great. Maybe plan for them not. And then if you end up getting them, then great. But it's an interesting little wrinkle when you think about benefits that are applied to you when you're in versus when you're out. Before we get too long in the tooth with Virginia, I'm going to insert the fun fact and move on to number 4. Fun fact number 2 about a history of finance in America, titled "Americans Once Cut Their Money into Pieces." Before the U.S. Mint produced enough coins, Americans used Spanish silver dollars for everyday transactions. To make small purchases, people would literally cut the coins into halves, quarters, and eighths. That's where the expression 2 bits comes from. 2 bits was 1/4 of a Spanish dollar, equivalent to 25 cents. Interesting.
Now that is an interesting fact.
Yeah, I always knew it was something like that, but I didn't know they literally cut the silver dollars into eighths. And it was legal currency. Like, I looked it up a little bit and researched more. It was actually legal tender to do that. Like, you could actually, it was accepted. And yeah, can you imagine?
That's shocking to me. Like, that's the thing that I think is catching me off so much right now, is being able to cut your currency into pieces and it would still be legal tender. That's crazy.
If you think about it, like, this seems absurd because we've never cut a coin up because why would you? But this, think about maybe, I don't know, $100 bill.
Silver.
Well, think about cut a $100 bill in half. You got 2 $50 bills. That's the equivalent to this. It's wild. But yeah, it was a thing at one point. This episode is brought to you by the Military Financial Advisors Association.
MFAA is a global network of independent, fee-only fiduciary financial advisors who specialize in serving military families.
And we're not just highlighting it. Omen and I are members ourselves, so we know firsthand what they stand for.
That's right. Every member of MFAA is either active duty, a veteran, or a military spouse, so they truly understand the unique financial challenges that come with military life.
Plus, every advisor must hold or be actively pursuing the CFP designation, which is the gold standard in financial planning.
So let's put that together. When you choose an advisor with MFAA, you are getting a professional who won't sell you a product, who knows the military life, and will plan using your hard-earned military benefits.
Whether you're navigating a step out of the military after 4 years, a military retirement, or a transition into a work-optional lifestyle, MFAA advisors speak your language.
Visit militaryfinancialadvisors.org to find an advisor who fits your mission.
MFAA, real advice, real experience.
This advertisement is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice. All investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. Information and opinions provided within the Fiscal Foxhole do not necessarily reflect official positions or opinions of the Military Financial Advisors Association or its members. Consult a qualified financial professional before making any financial decisions.
All right, moving on. Number 4 on our list of states for military veterans to retire to is North Dakota. First thing about North Dakota, employers can give veteran hiring preference by law, which is really good to see. Other benefits, full pension exemption, that's no cap as I understand it. Solid economic environment score, North Dakota, very stable. One drawback to North Dakota, however, it is a small military retiree population despite all the benefits. So only about 5,500 based in this article. Raises the question if the infrastructure is actually tested, kind of like to your argument of like, as more maybe people come in, will these benefits sustain, maybe more retirees coming in. So we have the opposite situation here.
Bro.
Yeah.
That's the small problem that you just came up with North Dakota.
Yeah.
It's North Dakota. Nobody is going to retire in North Dakota.
What's your problem with North Dakota? It's beautiful.
Oh, I'm sure. When you can get out.
You don't have daydreams about moving to Montana, North Dakota, like just out in the, just never talking to anyone again?
Never.
Never?
There's a reason why there's only secret military bases there, because nobody wants to go. Okay. Nobody would even try.
Well, look, I'm speaking to our listeners, the listener population that's like me, that has this weird, fantasy of just walking off with just the shirt on your back and going somewhere. Not that I'm going to abandon my family. That's not what I mean. But yeah, just the kind of like the adventure kind of vibe, that the pull to go out there. I appreciate it. I think it's great, dude. You talk about hunting and fishing and wilderness and beauty. North Dakota's got it all.
I'd go to Montana Probably not North Dakota. I go to South Dakota. Probably not North Dakota.
Wait, so, oh, we're way off topic. What's the difference between like North Dakota and Montana?
It's point on the equator.
Smart ass. All right, returning back to what we're actually talking about. Okay, so let's compare this to Virginia. So we talked about Virginia has a huge military retiree population. I already said North Dakota's got like 5,500. So how does that balance out as far as community?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have any. And some people are okay with that. Like some people are looking for that quiet life. Arguably, and now just a few years removed from military retirement, it is the people that I miss the most. Like it is the community that I miss. And, working 100% remote job at the moment, like I actually am considering getting an office space in town just so I can see people. It really is one of those things. So, but that's not for everybody. Some people just want to be by themselves, and that's fine.
Yeah, amen to that. So there's that. The balance is unique to the person making the decision. So you're still going to get strong support like you do in Virginia, but this is going to paint a different picture socially, quality of life. Well, the quality of life as you see it, like maybe the quality of life is, hunting and fishing and living in a cabin with your dog, and that's good, and that's actually what you want. Then North Dakota might be a better fit for you. One note here that I found outside the article is that some property taxes can be higher in North Dakota, but disabled vets can get certain exemptions or relief based on the rating. Again, based on that VA rating, which is so hard to plan for. Right? We talked about the benefits of Virginia. Now we're talking about this, and the theme will remain throughout the remainder of these states. You just kind of have to just be aware of it. Like, well, if I do get certain rating, then I will get this benefit, but you can't count on it, unfortunately, until you're out and you know what you got. Moving on, before we hit number 3, I got another fun fact for the financial history of the United States titled Every U.S. Bill Since 1861 is Still Valid. Any genuine U.S. currency issued since 1861 remains legal tender today. Even if you found a 19th century note in an attic, it would still retain its face value. Of course, collectors would probably pay far more than that printed amount. Some old notes are worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars because of their historical significance. Of course, the U.S. meant they cycle out these notes. Like if a bank gets a note that's certain, date or worn in a certain way, they can, actually take it out of circulation and replacing it with new bills all the time. But yeah, if you have a bill and you find it and it's been kind of stored away, maybe in a safe, 1861 is the cutoff date and it is still valid. I like the wise words here though, like maybe don't spend it. Maybe go. Yeah. Maybe see if it's
that's
worth
probably
something.
not one to go get a candy bar or something with.
Right.
I wonder why they said 1861. That seems weirdly exact.
That's a good question. I did some background research on all these little nuggets just to have something to speak on. That's one question I didn't ask. That's a good question. I don't know why 1861. So maybe that's your homework. If you're a listener, you can chat GPT 1861 currency and valid after that date. But moving on to with the theme of the episode, we've got number 3 to get to. The number 3 state that is worth moving to as a retiree from the military is Wyoming. Jumping right into the details. No income tax, full pension exemption, 8th highest VA expenditure per veteran nationally. Interesting. Veterans make up nearly 8% of the population. That's 8% of what? 500, right?
I know.
Yeah.
There's only 2 of them.
High concentration of retirees? No. So, but it is 8% of the population. That's the 4th highest share in the country. Lowest share of veterans on SNAP benefits. That was listed here. To me, it's like, that's probably nationwide. I mean, if you're a pensioner with military benefits and retirement, there's probably a low degree of those on SNAP benefits
that's what I was
anyway.
Thinking.
Yeah. But man, I have a feeling you're going to come with the same sentiment that you had about North Dakota, about Wyoming.
I'm wondering, actually, we probably need to look up where John is from. Is he from the Midwest? Like, where's he from that he keeps recommending all these various states here in the middle of the country, in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, this begs a question that we're going to get to in a little bit. Because if you're listening, I think you probably have states in mind that I think you're going to be surprised that are not on this list.
Yeah.
And then in hindsight, going back, it's like, okay, well, why Wyoming again? Why North Dakota? Is he more like me? He just prefers a place like that that's wide open and beautiful and mountainous in certain ways. Yeah, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know his personal angle, but we definitely sense that there's something here that's like, maybe he has some personal preferences.
Yeah.
I do want to note one thing about Wyoming that was not included in the article, that there are some property tax benefits for vets and surviving spouses. So there are some property tax benefits in Wyoming. And man, when you stack that upon no income tax, full pension exemption, I mean,
yeah,
you get
that's
pretty
powerful.
close. It is. We have one more state that stacks even more tax benefits that's going to come later. But before we get to number 2 and number 1, we have our next fun fact about American financial history. This one is not worth a continental was one of America's first financial lessons. During the Revolutionary War, Congress issued continental currency to finance the fight for independence. The currency eventually lost much of its value, giving rise to the phrase, quote, not worth a continental. While it sounds like a failure story, it ultimately helped shape America's future financial institutions and reinforce the importance of sound monetary policy. Sometimes the most valuable lessons come from early mistakes. Really great. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the history of the Federal Reserve and how they control interest rates, but I don't know if it's directly tied to this, but of course it's loosely tied to the idea of trying to control monetary policy and the supply of money. So this is a perfect example. Like, hey, we tried something, i.e., we talked about earlier, different states trying different things. Tried some, didn't work out quite as well, and they were able to course correct before the economic boom growth that was the United States.
Yeah, I appreciate that we have the freedom to even make those kinds of course corrections. Like that's built into the way that we do business. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And further strengthened by the Great Depression. A lot of changes came after that too. So we owe a lot of the stability of our currency to those things. Jumping back into our list, at number 2 for states for military retirees to retire in is Maryland.
Womp womp.
What?
Bro, I got nothing. We just took a sideways turn.
Yeah, we disagreed on a few things, but I think we're on the same page as this. But something tells me that John Kiernan might be a resident of Maryland.
And the thing is, like, if you look at the notes on this, it was on the list last year, too. It was in the top 5 last year. It jumped from 4 to 2 this year. Come on.
Yeah, I think he's picking and choosing the details he's choosing to focus on, right? And leaving some out. So I will go ahead and note some of the things he mentions. He jumped 2 spots from 4th to 2nd. It's climbing the ladder from last year. Partial pension exemption, not a full one. That's the top reason. Only up to $12,500 if you're under 55 and $20,000 if you're over 55. I mean,
that's not. You might as well just move one state south to Virginia.
I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm not nothing to sneeze at, but at the same time, I don't know why that brings it up so high.
It's got to be the VA healthcare centers.
I think it is. And I think it's also kind of the same thing that Virginia has is the military community. It does have a strong military community, strong VA healthcare access, proximity to major medical centers. However, it's just hard for me to justify when there's so many other places you could live to get the similar benefits and better tax treatment than Maryland, just for VA healthcare access and proximity to other military communities.
Yeah, and cost of living.
Yeah, and cost of living. Yeah.
Most people that I work with that are in Maryland are trying to figure out how to get out. So yeah. I have no idea how this is on the list.
They don't treat people, well as state income tax. Have you dealt with that? Yeah, with people like living in, or like Maryland residents are living elsewhere and that live there. I mean, you've got between different types of taxes, you've got a combined rates of 7 to 9% that's taxed on top of your federal if you live in Maryland. You do get the same property tax exemption if you're 100% VA disabled, but I mean, weighing that with the cost of all the other taxes that are weighed, I got to be frank, I just have no clue why Maryland is even on this list, and much less at number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
No offense. If you live in Maryland and you're a retiree and you like it and you love it, sorry. First of all, sorry to hurt your feelings, but yeah, maybe send us an email to FiscalFoxhole@gmail.com and tell us about your experience and maybe something that we're missing. But yeah, we're both puzzled by number 2. Anything else you want to pile on that from Maryland?
No.
Okay. All right.
Baltimore Ravens. I'll pile that one on too.
Oh yeah. Well, I have nothing personally against anything in Baltimore, or Maryland for that matter. Yeah, I go to Maryland football games, the University of Maryland. It's always a great experience. Yeah, great people. I have a lot of fun, but financially speaking, to live there, not so sure. All right, before we get to number one, I do have one more. Well, actually, I do have two more, but next to last financial fun fact. This one's titled, "The Founders Almost Had a Very Different Financial System." After the revolution, the new nation was drowning in debt and had a chaotic mix of state currencies and foreign coins circulating at the same time. Alexander Hamilton proposed a national bank to create stability, while Thomas Jefferson worried that it would give too much power to financiers and the federal government. I mean, it's a pretty reasonable fear considering what we just declared our independence from.
Yep.
The debate became one of the first major political battles in American history and helped shape the first political parties. A different outcome might have produced a far more decentralized American banking system. That'd be an interesting thing, because you teased it in the intro that we have this really unique system where states can try different things. Can you imagine if every single state had its own currency?
Oh my God. We'd be so screwed. That'd be terrible.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting. And I think maybe by now we would just be used to it. It'd be sort of maybe like, the European companies, but they went the other way. They adopted the euro, but it'd be like, European countries, and they all kind of exist together in a very similar cooperative economy. So it might have looked something like that. I don't know.
I mean, it's England and the rest of Europe at the moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Whereas
That'd
before, you have this weird kind of comparison. It might be better. I don't know. We might have had the similar benefits to how different states treat their local economies and laws and how they ebb and flow. It might have been even better. I don't know, but it is certainly an interesting twist.
You ever seen Hamilton?
No, not yet.
Great show.
Oh yeah, I've heard.
Got to do it.
Is that related to anything we're talking about right now?
Alexander Hamilton. Come on, man.
Yeah, I
just lost your train of thought.
Yeah,
didn't
I did.
You're welcome.
Well, with the commercial of the Hamilton behind us, we do have number one. No further ado. The number one state for military retirees is, surprise, South Carolina. For his list, 3 consecutive years at the top for him. Only state to rank in the top 10 across all 3 categories. He's not wrong. Economic, environment, quality of life, healthcare, full pension exemption. Most veteran-owned businesses per capita. 3rd best VA hospitals nationally. Nearly 63,000 military retirees already there. Potential veteran hiring. Academic credit for military service. Veteran treatment courts. It just goes on and on. South Carolina is very friendly to military retirees.
Yeah, and it is a lovely state as well. We love heading down to Charleston. We love some of the areas there in South Carolina. It is beautiful. In fact, I have this story where in the Marine Corps, we had only just a handful of duty stations that we could actually go to. And I remember the first time I went to Beaufort, South Carolina, thinking, this is going to be some podunk town somewhere. It was gorgeous. Yeah. And by the time I got there and I took a little tour of the base, I could not get stationed there anymore. It is impossible for me to get stationed there. And I was like, what have I done? I've just made a grave error. I should have been stationed here. It was awesome there.
Every time I've been, I loved it. It's really great. I did add a few more facts that was omitted from the article. It's huge. No tax on military pension, VA, Social Security, or property tax for 100% P&T. Virtually tax-free from the military retirement side. You could live there. Yeah, if you didn't have another job, and all that is basically treated as tax-free for military retirees. It's fantastic. Adding to that, significant education benefits for qualifying disabled vets, multiple veterans nursing homes, like nursing homes for vets, that's the first we've heard on this list. And golf. Can't avoid it. If you're retiring, yeah.
Boo. Boo.
By the way, my son and I golfed last week. We'll get into our trips later. He beat me for the first time, straight up, head to head.
That's awesome.
I know. It's wild. Anyway, but yeah, I like number one. South Carolina I can't disagree with that at all. I think we can toss some of these states backwards. We could reshuffle this list, and we've got a few more ideas coming between us. But before we do that, I do have the last fun fact for American financial history, and that is Americans once used tobacco as money. In colonial Virginia and Maryland, tobacco was so valuable that it effectively became a form of currency. Farmers could pay debts, taxes, and even salaries with tobacco instead of coins. In some cases, warehouse receipts representing stored tobacco circulated much like paper money. Wild. We used to have the gold-backed currency. They had tobacco-backed currency, effectively what that was. Continuing on, imagine getting paid in cigar ingredients instead of direct deposit. It worked because tobacco was widely trusted, easily traded, and had real economic value.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being given some kind of currency in the form of tobacco. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Or like a note that represented ownership in tobacco stored at a warehouse. Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, I guess it's the same thing about a dollar bill or a coin. It's what it represents, but it just, it's weird. It's weird.
Well, some would argue that at least this was backed by tobacco. Today's dollar is backed by nothing. Other than
That's true.
Yeah, other than the fact that we all agree.
What we think it is.
Yeah,
that's
right.
it.
Yeah. Okay, so there we go. We're closing out the top 5 list. Omen, we have thoughts, right? Just a couple of things to hit before we get into the fun, as we get out of the episode. There's some states missing from this list that I think are pretty, most people would agree on.
Yeah, I mean, this is why we drew up this article, was we read over the list, and we probably had the same thoughts that every other listener is having right now when you listed off the top 2, and they didn't hear Florida and Texas in the list. That just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, Florida, this is where it actually landed in the list. Florida was number 7, and Texas was at number 20. But arguably, these are some of the most popular states that military folks tried to retire to for a variety of different reasons. He gave some reasons as to why they are becoming less popular. Mm-hmm. Florida, for instance, has been pummeled by hurricanes, and very similar to California in terms of homeowners insurance. It's either 1, difficult to get, or 2, really expensive to get. So just your homeowners insurance alone, the price of that could undo any other tax benefits or any that you could be getting from the state. So that was a reason why. Texas, he listed as property taxes, but arguably there are a lot of benefits for disabled veterans in Texas, which was the same reasoning that he gave for some of the other states that were on the list higher up on the list. Yep. So I'm a little bit confused there.
No income tax.
I mean,
no income tax.
No income tax.
Yeah.
Military communities.
Abundant. Why are we balking at property taxes when there's no income tax? I mean, you have to. I mean, the community has to get taxed. You have to have tax at some point. Like, you can't have it all, minus some of the exemptions that we mentioned earlier. But yeah, like, this smells a little like. I mean, I don't know. I don't know this guy. Like, maybe he just doesn't like Florida and Texas. But it is hard to like just say, okay, they're just off the list, and we're throwing Maryland in there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It does smell. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Please continue.
No. I got nothing else.
There.
Yeah, it's just shocking, actually.
It is, and especially too when he acknowledged the cost of living in some of those more rural states like Wyoming and North Dakota. Yeah, Texas does have expensive areas, but also has very inexpensive areas. So if you're worried about the property tax, you can buy a reasonably priced home and pay reasonable property taxes, and you're avoiding income tax, and you have all the benefits of the military communities and et cetera. I think we should at least acknowledge that some folks might find the political climate better in Maryland or Texas, depending on how you feel. So that's something that we didn't talk about. Maybe just bring up that it's worth considering if it's a place that you seek community in that way. I did throw this list, our top 5, into ChatGPT just to say, hey, what did it miss for military, like friendly to military? I did get Texas and Florida. So they were the number 1 and number 2. Like, hey, idiot, you forgot Florida and Texas. And then it listed Tennessee. And I was like, oh, yeah, of course.
That's another good one.
Yeah, the reasons it stated for Tennessee: no state income tax on wages, retirement income, or military pensions, low overall tax burden, relatively affordable, moderate climate. And this one was interesting. Yeah, good location, easy access to much of the Southeast and Midwest. Like, it's in a pretty nice little area. Every time I've been there, I've loved it. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. So really interesting addition there of Tennessee. I'd definitely throw Florida, Texas, maybe Tennessee up there in this list of 5, but it's certainly fun to talk about and explore.
I've enjoyed this conversation because this is a topic we talk with folks all the time. They're 3 to 5 years from retirement. And they're like, where do we want to go? It's such a big decision. And we're talking through some of the considerations about all these different states where you could go and some of the benefits. I think the one hang up is always going to be that VA disability rating. So unless you're in the reserves and you already have some kind of portion of a VA disability rating, or maybe you've got a 100% and you're still in the reserves, like, good for you. Now you have some real decision-making material there. But if you haven't received your disability rating yet, you're just going to have to kind of take a guess on that one. But like I said, I haven't really been able to think of any other reason why you would pick or choose a state outside of family or job. One of those 2 reasons. Do you have anything else on that?
I think you said that really well. I would just hammer home the VA thing is so big.
It is.
Because, I mean, we're talking about the difference between a potential tax-free offset of your pension versus an extra $50,000 tax-free a year. That's game-changing. So if you can retire and just hold on, maybe delay the decision of where to move to for a year if you can, or if you haven't already made that decision because of family that you want to move closer to, no matter, like, hey, screw the costs, I don't care, we're going to move there, whatever. But yeah, if that's part of it, then maybe you can wait and just get that and then reshape your opinion. I'm curious though, Omen, after the last episode we talked with Spencer, it sounded at the end of that episode you're ready to pack your bags and try out moving to different countries. Do you have the same feeling after we had this conversation?
No, we're still thinking about packing our bags and moving to a different country.
Different country. So it's Virginia or Denmark.
That's right.
Okay. Like South Carolina. No, it's got to be somewhere else.
Maryland or anywhere else.
Yeah, anywhere else. For the North Pole. We have people.
I'll go to North Dakota. I'll go to North Dakota.
We have people listening in Maryland are cursing us right now. Yeah, please don't tune us out. We love you too. All right. Yeah, I agree with you. Great conversation. A lot of fun. Learned a lot from this ourselves, I think. So it was nice to get into it. But I think we're coming up on a good amount of time. So let's get to it. Let's jump into trivia. This is our weekly trivia challenge between the 2 of us for the prize of pride and a cheap trophy. This year, we're keeping our overall scores secret for a contest at the end of the year, so be sure to keep up with how we're doing. And if you want to go back from January and come back and listen to all the episodes to keep track, please do so. We would love the listens. This is the point in which Omen has crafted a question to try to trip me up, and this is his decision to either go mean or be very nice, with the expectation that I will mirror that effort in the next episode when I come back at him. But now it's time for him to do his worst. What you got, buddy?
Oh, I got you something here. You're going to love this 250th celebratory quiz question for you.
Okay. Do your worst.
You ready? Here we go.
Yeah. Let's go. Do I need to hold on. I need to put the hat back on. Hold on.
Yeah, put the hat and the glasses back on.
I have to, I can't.
You don't need to see the answers anyway, because you're not going to get this.
All right, good. All right, glasses are going on. Go ahead.
John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, 2 of the most important founding fathers and former presidents, both died on the exact same day. What was that date? Is it A, July 2nd, 1813, B, July 2nd, 1816, C, July 4th, 1801, or D, July 4th, 1826?
Oh, so basically we're talking about the year then. That's really what the question is. I thought this was going to be an arbitrary. Well, when you first, I was like, is it January 5th, December 2nd, January? I thought it was going to be I didn't know we were adding the year. So let's just stick with the years. Okay, so, all right.
Okay.
Who were the guys again? The 2?
Adams and Jefferson.
Adams and Jefferson. And what were the years? Let's leave the dates out of it.
1813, 1816, 1801, 1826.
Yeah, those guys didn't live long. I don't know. Wish I did, obviously, but I don't know. I don't have a clue. And just because I know these guys drafted these documents when they were like 17 years old and they lived at the ripe age of 29, that when you go back and look at the ages of these guys when they're forming a country, leading revolution, and then they die at the old age of 31.
What am I even doing with my life right now? Is that what this is?
Exactly. Look, yeah, they created a country at half my age, and I'm sitting here with a top hat and silly glasses on. And I'm 50. Well, almost 50. All right. So I don't know. So I'm going to go with the youngest date available. Was it 1801?
1801.
Give me 1801.
And you're wrong.
Well, of course I am.
It's actually kind of a cool one.
Okay. Tell me
Because
more.
if you would have actually done the math on the dates, 1826 is 50 years to the day they both died from the signing.
They lived 50 years after
50 years.
the revolution. Wow.
Yes.
That's wild.
To the day.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Well, to my point, they were like 9 years old when they signed the Declaration of Independence. So that's really cool. I did not know that. I didn't know they died on the same day. That's wild.
I didn't know that either.
Well, that's why you listen. You listen to laugh at us. We look silly. We sound even more ridiculous sometimes, and we get to learn about U.S. history and all kinds of unique things. But for today, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of the Fiscal Foxhole, special 250th America's Birthday Edition. We hope you took something away that you can use in your life. We appreciate you hanging out with us in the financial trenches. If you like our show, we'd love it if you wrote a review, or better yet, shared it with a friend. Today, we got special takeaways for the special episode. So, Omen, please take it away. What are our 3 takeaways from today?
Key takeaway number 1, rising interest rates and product design have meaningfully changed what annuities actually pay out. A short-term annuity may not be for everyone, or maybe most of our listeners, but as an interest-earning tool, it's worth a second look. Key takeaway number 2, the best state on paper and the best state for your retirement aren't always the same thing. Run your own numbers before you let a ranking make the decision for you. And key takeaway number 3, where you retire is one of the biggest financial decisions you'll make after the military. And most people spend more time picking a car than they do picking a state.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have questions you'd like answered on the show, please send us a note to fiscalfoxhole@gmail.com. If you heard something today that you'd like to discuss further, or you just want to dig deeper into your own financial game plan, both Rob and Omen are accepting new clients and always happy to chat. You'll find the links to their websites or to book appointments in the show notes. Rob Moore and Omen Quelvog are both registered investment advisor representatives. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. While they are both advisors, they are not your advisors. Therefore, nothing you hear on Fiscal Foxhole should be taken as specific investment, legal, or tax advice. For guidance tailored to your situation, please consult a qualified professional who understands your individual circumstances.
When we talked about in the beginning of the episode that we both had trips recently over the last week, the foxhole was empty. And the first thing I want to ask you, man, I got emails from you and text messages indicating you were still working on your trip. What gives?
Dude, it was awesome. I got a chance to try out the old office on the road, and it worked great. I had a couple client meetings. I got a chance to see some friends, to change a command and to activate a command. And man, it was really, really cool.
Okay. Well, first tell me, I am curious. I don't know if our listeners are curious about your setup, but I did not take meetings on my trip because I just didn't want to deal with the logistics. So what was that like? And then I am curious. I want to hear kind of about the changes of command. You mentioned it a few weeks ago, I think, but now that you're past, I kind of want to hear about it.
Well, generally speaking, when I drive to a location, I get pretty lazy with my packing. And I said, well, I can take this and I can take that because I can just shove it in my truck. And that's exactly what I did. So I had the mic you're looking at right now. I took it with me, as big as it is. And then laptop, and I bought one of those external monitors, like travel external monitors, pretty small, but
yeah,
man, the productivity that it allows you to do on the road is pretty amazing. So yeah, between those, of the 3 people I spoke with, not a single one of them cared that I was in a hotel room.
Yeah. Oh, so you had a decent backdrop. You actually you didn't have all your dirty clothes everywhere in the bed to shovel.
No dirty clothes. They were
beer bottles.
Same place that they're always on the floor.
Well, that's interesting. And so you were able to go to these changes of command for your buddies and see them. Yeah, that's really cool that you were able to do that. I mean, kind of validates your decision to retire in this way, so you could not have to like take leave or personal time to go do that.
Yeah, and it's a trial and error, right? Like I learned a couple things from this trip, and I will now purchase a couple different other products and then take them on my next trip that I have coming up here in July. I'm going to go back to California for a couple weeks.
Awesome. I do want to spend a couple of minutes. I want to share this with you. I went to Pittsburgh with my, almost 16-year-old. He's 15, baseball team, right?
Yeah.
It was a long time. It was like 5 days there. And, the baseball was fun, but it's at the end of the day, it's just a child's activity. And I think oftentimes we do this with our children's activity, especially travel, where we go and we just become so enveloped in the outcome of the games and how the kids do. And that's important because that's what we're there to do. But also to me, that's just what brings us there, right? Like when we were there, we went on the way out, we golfed 18. And I mentioned before he beat me for the first time. Golfed 18 holes, found a course on the way. While we were there, we ate at Primanti Brothers, real famous Pittsburgh thing. Wasn't that impressed, but we did it. We did the Fort Duquesne and Fort Pitt. Those stood. It's right there at the Three Rivers. It's really great. There's a museum. We did that. We did it all. Like we just made the most of our time together. And then, by the way, we did the baseball games, which were cool too. So it was really great. Cool. Yeah. Kennywood. Have you heard about that? We did that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. It's really kitschy old amusement park with some really cool modern rides, but really old ones, including one that I'm glad I looked up after because I discovered after I wrote it, it was 130 years old, maybe. When I read it, when I wrote it, it felt like it was 400 years old. I mean, it felt like it was falling apart as I was writing it. It was a roller coaster. Like literally the panel I was holding onto in front of me was moving in different directions than the seat that I was in that was connected to me.
Oh man.
It felt
no thanks.
Yeah.
No thanks.
But I survived. But anyway, I think that's just I wanted to share that because that was a really great takeaway. I feel like we nailed it. The fact that we're like, hey, we're here to be together because when we look back, I'm not going to remember any hits or plays he made, but we're going to remember all the time we had together. So, I love it. I'm glad you had a great time, and it's good to see you again.
I'm glad you had a great time.
Had the best time. So until next week, buddy, we will see you then.
See you.